area right now. Hello everyone, welcome to the feature match area. Tons of great players here. You've got Olle, Jasper, Johnson-Epstein, Thiago, Saporito, Andre Stasy, Paul Reitzel, Reed Duke, and we are going to begin with this match, Raphael Levy against Willy-Adel. Now, Levy won his first round to advance to 9-1 from table 1. Willie lost his first round to remain on the 9 wins he had overnight. So here we go. We're going to kick off with a culling drone on turn 2 for Raph Levy. Edel will reply on his turn 2 with the 1/4 colorless Kozilek Sentinel, which matches up pretty well against 2/2.
Yeah, these guys drafted across the table from each other.
Seats 2 and 6.
Seems like they both wound up in black devoid strategies.
Right. Levy comes out with his foil Mist Intruder. That's why it's got that slightly weird sheen to it.
It's not weird just because it's an Eldrazi?
Oh, there is that. And this is Retreat to Hagra for Willy-Adel. Chance to give +1/+0, Death Touch, or Drain a life for a point. Now that looks super weird. Raph will send in his pair. His deck is very much majority black. Got a couple of Swarm Surges pretty late in the draft. Moved out of green. We'll see how his deck panned out after this round, and you'll also see the rest of Willy-Adel's draft. Here's Dominator Drone. Of course I have a colorless creature because, well, all my creatures are colorless pretty much. So Edel loses 2 life.
We have a theme of Brood Butchers in the feature match area, dating back to both matches last round. Levy, though, not splashing for his Brood Butcher.
No. No, it was an interesting point in the draft where he got that Brood Butcher, and then it was a case of, is he going to move in that direction? And as you'll see later on, well, he's blue-black. Vestige of Emrakul, the 3/4 Trampler. Common, devoid, of course, for Edel. And Levy is going to reach out with Merc Strider and say, go away. Top of the library, and then he'll send in. Kozilek Sentinel will save some damage, but Ingest is very much in action. You see a Dominator Drone and a Mountain going into the exile pile above Willie with his Bazarda Bagda sleeves. It's part of his life away from tournament play. Trading in Brazil. Land number 5 for Edel. That has a landfall trigger. No point in giving +1/+0 and Death Touch, so that's a 1-point life swing, courtesy of Retreat to Hagra. He replays the Vestige of Emrakul, and actually has another play as well in the 1/1/4/1 Sludge Crawler.
Yeah, both players are devoid-based strategies, but different colors give them a bit of a different feel. Levy much heavier on the ingest and process side of things. Willie's more aggressive.
Which is interesting because Raph would have expected, I think, to be the aggressor in most matchups. So, and here we go again, more Merc Strider action. Puts a Mountain
tempo
back
cards
in.
in blue are so powerful.
Right, and just in he comes. And the thing is, because Raph has Swarm Surge, that's the kind of thing that when you're looking at a board with 4 creatures on each side, well, Swarm Surge, just to say mine are better than yours, almost certainly.
Yeah, Edel has 1 Swarm Surge in his main deck. Levy has 2.
Yeah. See a Sure Strike, and Forerunner of Slaughter has gone. And Raph continues to...
Yeah, he's just been on the front foot the whole
put
game.
up the board. Yep.
Better curve, better synergy. I mean, that Retreat to Hagra, I feel like that's more a sign that Willie came up a couple cards short. Like, he would rather have a colorless card in that spot. Molten Nursery actually wound up in his sideboard because he just didn't quite have the, the 20 colorless cards
Sure.
that we saw from Paul Reitzel last round. You know, McKindy's Slide Runner made the cut. Drana obviously is going to make the cut, even if you're mostly colorless.
Right. His Vestige of Emrakul for Willie. Back again. Raph with a 3, 4, 5, 6 to 3 creature advantage right now. Willie at 11. And Raph just contemplating his attacking options. Sure, many of you are hoping to see some action from Paul Reitzel against Reed Duke. At the end of Game 1, we will head over there and we will see the conclusion of that match.
We're just going to stay there.
Yeah, I think so, because yeah, we wanted to see
Works
our
for
two
me.
drafters going up against each other, but sounds pretty awesome to get a little bit of Reed and Paul going at it with Reitzel with that super interesting Molten Nursery deck.
Just a crazy pot, too, right? You get to play Efro last round.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you defeated the #1 player in the world. Now play against Reed Duke.
Yeah. Well, Reed's the easy matchup after that, right?
Who's waiting for him in the finals, or waiting for the winner of that in the finals?
Yeah, someone who at the very least is doing incredibly well because they will both be at 10-1 playing for 11-1.
Frank Carson's at that pod.
Yeah.
Pretty tough pod.
Frank's such a monster. So still waiting for Levy to puzzle out the end of his attack, and it turns out only
Just
one of
the
his
missed
6.
intruder.
Yeah, just pop in for 1. Sludge Crawler goes away, and then it's going to be Mind Raker. So Willie is going to have to discard a card here.
Processes Sure Strike into the graveyard.
Yeah, it's cards like Dutiful Return you have to watch out for.
Titan's Presence?
That's what's getting discarded.
Right. What did he keep?
Rolling Thunder and something. I mean, I'm just guessing. But
Does not have a Rolling Thunder.
okay.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't have a colorless creature to reveal to the Titan's Presence, then maybe that makes it the discard. Certainly, he can't keep Titan's Presence and a colorless creature if he's discarding from 2 cards. The Abomination.
Yeah, that card is good, and he does have some fuel for it, some reasonably unexciting creatures that might help him find something better. But really, Smothering Abomination, and you said that Willie was more aggressive of the two in terms of just outlook within the deck. Smothering Abomination.
Supposed to be.
Yeah, so therefore Smothering Abomination is what you want when you're ahead rather than,
Right.
well, maybe I'll dig a little bit for answers and upgrade a couple of my not as good creatures.
Yeah, the fact that Levy's been the one on offense this whole game makes that Abomination a little less exciting.
Yeah, and also, because we know that there are 2 Swarm Surge in the deck, this 7 to 4 creature advantage to Levy with Willie at 10 is basically game right now. A Swarm Surge would be, it's essentially game, even if not technically game. Willie might be able to survive with all his team dying, getting rid of 3 of 7 creatures on the other side, maybe. But he'd still be at 1 facing 3 or 4 creatures. So Levy, in a sense, is in no rush.
Yeah, I think that explains why Levy was so passive last turn, attacking with only the Mist Intruder.
Yeah, it's
he doesn't really want to make a bunch of trades.
No, because I have the game locked down with Swarm Surge. As long as he draws it. J-Man asks, is this Grand Prix only draft? Well, today, yes, it is. J-Man, it is a mixed format. We had sealed deck yesterday. As we see, Clutch of Currents for the full value. I'll have a 3/3 island. Thank you. And yes, that's colorless. What did he bounce? It's the Vestige of Emrakul because Vestige of Emrakul has this hidden ability that it's only in play for 1 turn. Apparently. That's the 3rd time that's been on top of Willie's library this game. And now Raph, without the Swarm Surge, can just go In we come. Whatever Willie loses here, he will also lose a creature in his upkeep, unless Smothering Abomination is sacrificed now, as it were, for a trade. Edel in a lot of trouble. The other thing, J-Man, is if you join us next week at Pro Tour Milwaukee, Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you will again see mixed formats, but you'll see mixed formats on each day. On Friday morning, we will do a draft, 3 rounds of Battle for Zendikar, then it will be 5 rounds of Standard. We repeat that on Saturday with round about just over half the field who make it to 4 and 4 or better on day 1, and then we cut to a top 8. Sunday's the only day where it's just one format, and that is Standard right the way through the top 8.
Edel winds up taking 7 damage down to 3.
Yeah, with
trades,
lots and lots of ingest.
Yeah, 2 trades as well.
And now Raph is 6 creatures to 1 up. Poor Reitzel and Reed Duke fans, you don't have long to hold your breath. Just going to run that out there. Oh look, it's a Vestige of Emrakul. And here's Drana, Liberator of Malakir.
It's got to be too late, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you block the 3 biggest ones, you still die.
Raph rehearsing the attack. They go like that, and then they go like that, and then I turn everything sideways and we sweep up my permanents because we can both count. And in the background, with frantic synchronicity, we have 1-0 on the back table as well. And unless Paul Reitzel is demonstrating that he has some heart problems, I'm pretty certain that finger in the chest meant I won game 1. So that is where we will head next. You see Paul Reitzel on the right of your screen playing this Molten Nursery. Well, is it a Molten Nursery deck? Would you categorize it that way, Randy?
I would just call it Black-Red Aggro.
Right, sure.
I mean, it's a Black-Red Devoid deck. This is what you're supposed to do when you're Black-Red, right? Forerunner of Slaughter is in that uncommon cycle, all of which are kind of designed to be built around these.
Right.
You draft one of those gold-colored uncommons, it gives you a direction which the rest of the set is sort of designed to help support. So Black-Red wants to be devoid, and it wants to be aggressive. Forerunner of Slaughter is the standard bearer. 2 copies of that card in Paul's deck. So, I mean, for me, I look at the 2 Forerunner of Slaughters as the awesome uncommon pair that he's got.
Right.
Molten Nursery's fine, too, but Forerunner is better in my mind.
Yeah, when I first looked at the set, I was kind of surprised because on the one hand, if you pitch it, if you pitch Battle for Zendikar as a set that is about colorless versus color, and you're going to fill the set up with lots of cards that are colorless, to then devote some of the set to gold cards. So there are fewer red cards, there are fewer white cards, there are fewer, with color identity. To have these gold cards seemed almost perverse that you would make room in the set for this sort of suite of gold cards.
Forerunner's not gold. I don't know what you're talking about. It's devoid.
Requiring multiple colors of mana, Your Honor. But of course, those 10 uncommons are great because they do signpost you for the draft. And that, of course, is why they're there.
Yeah, and one of the clever things I think they did with the design is you get this 2-sided war, right? You get the Eldrazi versus the Zendikari.
Yep.
But, most of the colors are kind of straddling both sides of the war. And you've got both devoids, Eldrazi-style mechanics in all the colors, many of which are devoid-based. But at the same time, you've got to make color matter, right? Magic is fundamentally about the 5 colors of mana. So how do you figure out how to get all 5 colors to participate in a 2-sided war?
Right.
And I like the way that they did that. They managed, essentially everybody's on both sides. I mean, white doesn't really do the Eldrazi side of the war very well.
But also
blue doesn't really fight for the
but they're
Zendikari
also
much.
Corrupted. So things like Kozilek Sentinel is a 1/4 for 1 and a red. That isn't what red gets.
No, it's weird. I mean, all the Eldrazi, they're just this inscrutably weird alien. That flavor comes through very nicely.
It's really clever.
I know Silent Skimmer is one of your favorites.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well. It's like, and that's an Ian Duke special as well. And here we are with little brother Reed.
Going down to 6 cards, unfortunately.
And 1-0 down as we anticipated.
So we've talked a lot about Paul's deck. What did Reed draft? Reed is blue-white. Oh, yeah, I saw this deck. I ran into Reed. He described his deck as exactly average. I'm not sure or exactly medium. I forget the exact phrasing he used. But he seemed like, you know what? I've got the blue-white Flyers deck. I'm not in love with my deck. I don't think it's awful. I think this is like the average blue-white Flyers deck. It looks a little bit better than that to me at first glance. But, yeah, I mean, he got 2 Royal Spouts, which is the blue-white gold card. And
so we're getting ready to go.
yeah,
but
3 Sky Spawners. He's good.
But while they're contemplating, because it looks to me like Reed might be into mulligan mode again, quick question for you, Randy, from the chat room.
Sure.
Glitch29 says, hey, Randy, are we getting any more VSL goodness coming up this year?
Yes. Vintage Super League Season 4, November 24th.
Excellent.
We've got the Super League Championship coming up on basically the first 5 Tuesdays after the Pro Tour.
Okay.
So there's a last chance qualifier, then the Super League Championships, and then as soon as that's done, we go back to Vintage. Full Season 2, full round robin, 10 players, 9 weeks, all of that.
Great stuff. All right, so here we go. I hope you like the answer to that glitch. I imagine you did. So we're away with an unused Sandstone Bridge for Reed Duke and Kozilek Central. That 1-4 for 2 red, 2 mana that we were mentioning on Reitzel's side of the board. Felidar Cub doesn't match up terribly well against Kozilek Sentinel, like a lot of 2-drops don't. Sentinel is a very reliable foil to most of the 2-drops in the format.
Yeah, usually winds up getting in for 2 and then winding up on defense once the bigger creatures come down.
Yeah, well, it's got in for 2 there. Blighted Gorge was land number 3, so don't forget at some point Reitzel can pull the trigger on 2 damage. He's laid Nettle Drone.
No 3rd land.
Yeah, well,
Reed mulligan to 6 and missed his 3rd land drop.
Yes, this is not a great start for Reed. Reitzel is notorious for really putting the hammer down when opponents are under the gun. Here's Vestige of Emrakul.
Trigger the untap, tap to shoot you.
And then in comes Kozilek Sentinel for another 2. And Reed is at 15. Be a land because we'd like to see some kind of game, but we are not going to see some kind of game by the looks of things. Reed at 14, 3 creatures to 1. None of the Felidar Cub doesn't match up well against anything because Reitzel's not risking the Nettle Drone particularly.
It matches up okay against the Forerunner of Slaughter that Reitzel's been sandbagging.
Okay.
You know, haste it up, send it in. Oh, it just trades with your Cub, doesn't it?
But then if he did that, Reed would still be taking...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time anyway. Maybe you also attack with Nettle Drone now. Let him pick what he wants to trade for.
Yeah, so here we go. In with everything.
You want the Forerunner or the Nettle Drone? Are you going to take a bunch from the others?
Yeah, so he's going to potentially take out the Forerunner. He takes 3, 6, 8, drops to 5. Yep. Zazu says, no. Obviously a Reed Duke fan. And this 3rd land, it can't possibly be in time, can it? I mean, here's an Eldrazi Sky Spawner and a blocker, but Paul is going to untap their land. We've got, yes, ping you for 1. This is game. Complete disregard for the Sky Spawner. Untap the Nettle Drone. 3 creatures incomes.
Nope. Got some more shooting with Nettle Drone to do first.
And Processor Assault your Scion and kill you. Thanks for playing. Easy game.
I like Paul's deck.
Paul Reitzel advances to 10-1. Reed Duke will fall to 9-2.
Having defeated Eric Froelich and Reed Duke, who knows who Paul's going to have to play to win this pod.
All right, let's take you back to table 1, where we have Willy-Adel against Raph Levy. Levy is on the left, Edel is on the right. We're in game 2, and Edel has Kozilek Sentinel, and Sludge Crawler.
And Drana just got processed. Ingested.
Yep. And Levy on the other side has Mist Intruder up at the top, Dominator Drone, and Wasteland Strangler.
Strangler's like, all right, I'll settle for my 2-for-1. Good enough.
McKinley's Slide Runner adds to Edel, who is at least parity at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the flying mist intruder is going to keep chipping away for 1. Okay, now the Air Force is up to 3 power. Make that 4. 3-turn clock.
Plus, Levy got to go incredibly wide there. He went from 2 creatures to 5 creatures in 1 turn.
You really want to see a Swarm Surge, don't you?
I like that card an unreasonable amount. I appreciate that it is an unreasonable amount, but yes. Especially as yesterday we got Daniel Cacchetti with his quad Swarm Surge deck.
Nice.
And he cast it, and it got countered. Functionally, anyway. So... Raph all sets up. There they are. 2 Hall of Famers. 1 with the ring already.
1.5 Hall of Famers.
1, well...
1 in like 0.98 something.
Yeah.
Got 3.5 days left. Wednesday night.
Willie loses game 2, flips the table, fractures Raph's clavicle. Yeah, that'd probably do it.
Right. It is not too late.
No. But other than that, I think we can say Willy-Adel's in the Hall of Fame. His Smothering Abomination, and this time he's actually got a lot of fuel for it. Last time it was 2 plus the Abomination. This time it's 4 plus the Abomination. And in all honesty, none of them are cards that he would be desperately upset to lose, especially at the cost of I keep a giant flyer and, by the a big-ish
draw a
flyer,
card, right.
and I draw a card. So.
Yeah, it's like the 4 smallest creatures in his deck, probably. 3 2-drops and a 1. Spawning Bed gets cashed in. So many creatures. Yeah.
So Levy with a pretty good shout here as he spends 5 mana. He's not interested in Edel sacrificing creatures.
Get that flyer off the board.
Yeah, because I'm winning through the air right now.
Cut your life total in half. I got you next turn in the air. I also have 4 ground creatures. And there's the handshake.
Yeah, there we go. Raphael Levy wins by 2 games to 0. So we will have to see what's going on with our turbo match. Thiago Saporito, Andre Strasky. They were both at 8 wins and 2 losses coming into round 11. And then Jasper Johnson-Epstein against Olle Rada. Another, it was like Hall of Fame Central in the feature. In fact,
16 Hall of Famers in the room.
Right, but
it's like 40% of the Hall of Fame.
We had 4 in the feature match area this round.
Pretty cool.
Maybe a future one in Reduke.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, can see that coming in. There's a few years yet for Reed, I think. See Frank Carsten out in front of us, but we're into turbo time. This will be game 1. Andre Strasky on the left, Saporito on the right.
More of the international flavor you get from the week before the Pro Tour.
Right. Snapping Gnarlid.
Drana.
Yes. Liberator of Malakir.
That doesn't kill Drana.
No.
How does green-white kill Drana?
Probably by reaching out with like a Gideon's Reproach or a Sheer Drop. Destroy target tapped creature.
Sheer Drop, sure.
Sheer Drop will work at any level of dice on the Drana. Which is reasonable. Oran Reef Invoker of Thiago Saporito. Of course, Drana works pretty cleverly in combat. It's not as straightforward as just, oh yeah, I'm throwing some counters around. The fact that when she deals combat damage, the +1/+1 counter goes on, and because she has first strike, that means that those counters are on immediately. Stasis Snare, that'll be another way to deal with the Drana.
Good answer.
Yeah. And Red-Black not notorious for getting rid of cards like Stasis Snare. Not really in its wheelhouse. So Snapping Gnarlid will come in. The good news is that if the life box and the life pad stay the same, in games 2 and 3, we'll be able to see the life totals, courtesy of Thiago Saporito.
Discard 2, awaken my mountain.
Tajiro Stalwart went away, and the Plains. But given that Drana Liberator of Malakir was the first play of the game from Andre Strasky, Thiago Saporito has got himself back into perfectly reasonable shape here. Gained a couple of life back with the Courier Griffin. He has a 2-3 first striker that can be 4-5 first strike. And 2 blocks becomes 1 trade. Belligerent Whiptail down for Strasky. Unnatural aggression from Saporito.
Yeah, now it's Saporito who's on offense.
Right. Yeah, he's probably turned this around.
Snare the Drana, double block the 3-3.
There's Blighted Gorge, which isn't quite... that's okay, 6-6 Endless One. Now that is enough to deal with an Ondu Greathorn. And that also is tough for a green-white deck to deal with, but similar things. Sheer Drop, for example. Okay, Fortified Rampart, in for 6, takes it. And Smite the Monstrous. Yep, that's another way to deal with a big thing.
And that was what he needed.
Yep, so the Brazilian leads 1-0. So Brazil could get to 1-1 here. Let's go to game 2. And McKindy Slide Runner opens up for Strasky. He attacks with landfall, so that's 3. Here's Nettle Drone. This is a good aggressive start, but that is a nice Tajiri Store. Not often you get to see that yesterday in Sealed as a 3-4, but in Draft you get more chance to do things like that. So a little bit of converge action, 3-4, decent. Nonetheless, more pressure from Strasky. It's a Belligerent Whiptail.
Fortified Rampart, blanking the Whiptail.
Mm-hmm.
Just the Nettle Drone damage getting through.
And here is Vile is that a Vile Aggregate? Yeah.
An unnatural aggression dealt with Nettle Drone.
Mm-hmm. So Vile Aggregate just a 1-5 right now. Here's Mars Malice again, relatively early. Smite.
I wasn't surprised to see that card yesterday. I'm a
you
little bit surprised to see it here, and yeah, Booster Draft is inherently faster.
Complete disregard from Strasky, and he's going to send everything in. Ghostly Sentinel there, that looked like Coastal Discovery, I think.
Wow, Endless One's back.
Mm-hmm.
This time bigger.
Yeah, was only a 6-6 last time, now a 7-7. Saporito brings out Halimar Tidecaller. But Andre Strasky says, no, actually, I am on the front foot, and you're dead. So we will gear up for game number 3 in Turbo Land. And away we go. With Saporito on the right, Sludge Crawler, turn 1 play for Strasky. Oran Reef Invoker gets traded for. Lifespring Druid gets traded for. Snapping Gnarl, it's the first thing that might stay on the battlefield for more than 3 turbo seconds. Belligerent Whiptail, Fortified Rampart. Ooh, bit of equipment. Haven't seen much of that.
Slabhammer. I think Slabhammer's pretty good.
Huh.
I mean, not great.
Right.
And in particular, it's anti-synergistic with the Eldrazi side of the format. But I mean, if you're beaten down, +2/+2 are real stats. And picking up a land allows you to trigger future landfall.
Yeah, neat. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that in action this weekend. So Strasky
does pick up the land.
And we are live.
Yep.
Good stuff. So if you want to know what happens in this game, we can't show it to you quickly. but we can show you as it happens.
Sometimes the turbo match is the last one running.
Mm-hmm. Which is odd, because you would have thought if they were playing so quickly, they'd have been done quicker, but...
I don't think that's how it works.
No, no. Am I missing something? Probably am. Ghostly Sentinel from Thiago Saporito, the number 21 player ranked in the world. Number 10 is Ondřej Stasy from the Czech Republic. Stasy at 12, Saporito at 14. One of these will get to 10 and 1. Big tournament, Randy, 1,800 people. I guess that really the third loss is the end, but the second loss not necessarily. Like
Right.
13 and 2.
13 and 2, you should make top 8.
Right, okay.
I mean, you'll have to look at it at the end. We were a little over 1,800. Like, maybe somebody gets unlucky on breakers.
Right.
I don't think you get to draw in with 2 losses in the last round. I think
Right.
you probably have to play and win.
But these two aren't yet in an elimination match.
Oh, no.
Right.
They've both they've got a loss to give.
Okay. Not recommended, though, as Ghostly Sentinel and Snapping Gnarlid comes in for 6. Stasy a little constrained on mana. And potentially on color as well, because there are a fair number of double red cards in the format that you might conceivably be playing.
He's got land in his hand.
Okay.
Both a swamp and a mountain.
Multiples, yeah.
I mean, the reason he's only on 4 is partially Slabhammer's fault.
Right. Serves him right. Six plays 8.
Seems like a race that's pretty soundly in Thiago's favor right now. Fortified Rampart can block. Ghostly Sentinel can fly over. And even the Gnarlid can still attack. All right, Whiptail picking up a land. Does get it to 6 power.
Stasis snare, go away.
Just the Sentinel, but that's half of Straski's life total.
But here's
Wow.
Korea Griffin. Let's go back into double figures. Stasy now in quite a lot of trouble. Yep, handshake. Thiago Saporito takes that and wins by 2 to 1. He goes to 10 and 1.
It's interesting if with the black-red decks we've seen, 3 of them at this point, right? Willie's lost, Strasky's lost, but Paul Reitzel's looks great.
Yes.
I don't know what that says about the positioning of the archetype within the format. It's like the good version is very good.
Yeah, and Willie lost twice as well.
Indeed.
Now, we do still have one game going, which is Jasper Johnson-Epstein, which I'm pretty certain is on the right of our screen right now.
Because you recognize Olarade's hands?
I actually recognize Jasper Johnson-Epstein's arms, which is ninja skills here on coverage. Jasper Johnson-Epstein. These two are both at 8 and 2. Yet another Hall of Famer that was in the feature match area this round. Olle 8 and 2. Part of the Scandinavian contingent that are over here for the Pro Tour. And I was chatting with them, Randy, earlier yesterday. They were saying, it's so exciting. I was talking with Simon Nielsen from the winning World Magic Cup team from Denmark.
Sure.
He was saying it is so exciting because people try things all the time and things don't always work out in life. But the Scandinavians, Lanto, Larsen, Rada, Nielsen, Enevoldsen, Bonder, the Danes and the Swedes are really piecing something together, and Team Tomo as they started out, and Martin Dang, and they win 2 Pro Tours back to back, and
they've won 2 in a row.
Right,
they're
exactly.
looking for their 3rd straight.
Yeah, and life is sweet in the land of the Swedes and the Danes. Meanwhile, Jasper Johnson-Epstein, let's bring you up to date with this game. I wonder whether it really is 0-0. That cannot be true.
It's 1-1.
It has to be 1, right? But Jasper Johnson-Epstein has Beastcaller Savant and McKinley Slide Runner. He also has a Blighted Gorge ×2 as part of his 5 lands. On the other side, Eldrazi Sky Spanners we're going to see infused with the elements from Jasper. Puts counters on the McKinley Slide Runner. And Olle right now is down to just an Eldrazi Scion, and it's an Eldrazi Scion that he might want for mana at some point rather than needlessly blocking. But he is going to have to block, and very soon. He's drawn an Akuma, I want to say Firebird. Yeah. Not quite sure on the art yet between the Firebird and the Hellkite, but yeah, the Firebird is very fiery, and the Akuma Hellkite is in fact not on fire. So remember that in future, just looking at the two side by side. Here's Deathless Behemoth. It's 6/6. Thing is, with Rada at 4 and Jasper, all he needs is mana just to go Blighted Gorge you, Blighted Gorge you. I mean, Rada's in range.
And knows it.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the true gentlemen of the game, Olle Rada. Tajiri Beastmaster.
Still doesn't let the Slide Runner attack through the Eldrazi. But sets up next turn.
Right.
Multiple large creatures. Now what do you got, Olle? And Firebird's just outclassed. The size of the threats Jasper's presenting.
Yeah, Jasper, normally known for constructed play, often comes up with original decks quite early in formats that he pilots in his own unique way to Grand Prix success.
Usually burn decks, but that's okay.
Huh?
We'll take it. Yeah, certainly has seen his fair amount of Pro Tour participation. Deep run once or twice.
Here's a McKinley Slide Runner on the other side. But this one doesn't have a dice on it, so not as good. Dice for the win. Slide Runner, Savant, and Tajiri at the bottom left, and now Jasper has another land, so now doesn't even need his Beastcaller Savant to activate one of those Blighted Gorges.
He commits to that plan, though. He still needs to draw the second land to activate the second one. His allies, the mana from that ally only cast creatures. Does not help him activate lands.
Yeah. Jasper's going to pass the turn.
Yeah. He doesn't have a great attack unless he can trigger the ally, so.
Right.
I mean, I think it's totally reasonable to commit to this Blighted Gorge plan.
Yeah, the kind of thing that would potentially do something about that is a Ruin Processor in red-blue. You know, it's not like Olle's going to have a Courier Griffin to get out of range. He's not going to have a Stonehaven Medic. He's not going to have Calastria Healers or anything like that, or Zulaport Cutthroats.
Also, I mean, but with Jasper on 20, I mean, the other thing he has to worry a little bit about is giving Olle a bunch of turns. Ulle's not about to win the game or anything.
No.
And Olle knows the clock is ticking, so he wants to be as aggressive as he possibly can.
Yeah. Oh, let me just check this.
Yeah. Deals 2, so this attack.
No. No.
Seen enough.
Yes, we can both count to 4. You have the land. You didn't block with the Beastcaller Savant to give me potentially you running out of options. No, all done. And we are all done in the feature match area. Jasper Johnson-Epstein goes to 9-2. There you see him. And Olle Rada winner of Pro Tour Columbus in 1996. And yes, chat room, that's before many of you were born.